Bro, I am enormously relieved right now. It's like I feel like a weight just lifted right off my shoulders. I am so happy to be making this next video.
Here we go!
Hey, what's up everybody? This is Gamer Blake 90, your proud chief of the Blue Blurs, and just like you, a fellow Sonic enthusiast. Or at least, I assume you're a fellow Sonic enthusiast given that you clicked on this video. So we're going to be continuing our ride aboard the Sonic news train that has been roaring full speed ahead since last week. So let's do this. Ever since Roger Craig's separation from the role of Sonic last week, we've been getting an onslaught of Sonic related news, and those are still forthcoming. These include an announcement for the Sonic Netflix series called Sonic Prime, which is slated for release next year. And the next big shakeup for the voice cast of the Sonic games. Now, for those unfamiliar with the history of the Sonic franchise, this is an event that has occurred a multitude of times, dating all the way back to the Jaleel White era, during which he provided the voice of Sonic for the earlier TV shows, which include Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Saturn, and Sonic Underground, a show that I somehow forgot to reference in my last video. Well, shame on me, but many thanks to somebody who left a comment reminding me of its existence. But yeah, this is an event that has occurred a multitude of times. We've seen this in the Dreamcast era in the early 2000s, the 4Kids cast during the latter half of the 2000s, and then the 2010s era, which just recently came to its end. Along with Roger Craig Smith, Cindy Robinson has made an announcement that she too is walking out the door as the voice of Amy Rose, and we've also got a statement from Colleen O'Shaughnessy, the voice of Tails, stating that she will not be reprising her role as Tails for the Sonic Prime Netflix series. However, this suggests nothing about her current standing with the Sonic games, and no such announcement has been made by anybody else from the 2010s cast, as far as I know anyway. But one such announcement did break through on Twitter last night, and it brought many of us a huge feeling of relief. Mike Pollock, the current voice actor for Dr. Eggman, made a Twitter post stating the following. You know what they say, the more the merrier. You've not yet heard the last of me as Dr. Eggman in Sonic the Hedgehog video games. Kindly prepare your ears accordingly.
Wow, will I really get that crazy?
If you guessed otherwise, surprise! Now if you'll excuse me, I have to stock up on lozenges. So did anybody else happen to read that post in Dr. Eggman's voice like I did, but in my mind rather than out loud, as I'm certainly not so talented to mimic Mike Pollock's imitation of Eggman, not in the least. But you know what I mean. So did anybody else read that post in Eggman's voice in their minds? No? Seriously? Really? Huh. Well, I must be crazy then. I thought that was an ongoing trend. No, but seriously, when that post first came up, my heart lifted with joy. Like many others, I was quite anxious over what the next big shakeup for the Sonic voice cast would bring. So it is a relief to know that Mike Pollock will be sticking around. As I said in one of my previous videos, the man is the heart and soul of Dr. Eggman, so to lose him would be a tragedy. Let's hold on to him for as long as we possibly can, Sega. You heard us. At the moment though, Mike Pollock is not the only one to be voicing Eggman. We've also got Jim Carrey, who is providing the role in both the Sonic movie and its sequel, which along with Sonic Prime is slated for release in 2022. And just like Ben Schwartz, he provided a phenomenal performance as Eggman. I wouldn't mind an alternate timeline where we see Jim Carrey voicing Eggman in the game, but I would not have wanted that to come at the expense of Mike Pollock, so thank goodness that is not happening. What's interesting to note is that out of all of the Sonic voice casts, Mike Pollock is the one who has held on to his role for the longest, not just as Eggman, but in general. He came onto the scene in 2003 when the Sonic X anime series first launched, and ever since then, he's been a mainstay in the Sonic series. As of this year, he will have held the role for 18 years. And obviously, this also suggests that the role of Dr. Eggman is the one that has seen the least amount of changes, interestingly enough. In the older era, it was commonplace to see Eggman's voice get swapped out along with the rest of the cast as well, but as time went on, Eggman's voice got replaced less and less often. In fact, the last big replacement took place in the very middle of the first decade of the current millennium, which is crazy. And it's also very surprising to see, given that we all know that Sega has an affinity for overcorrection, as they are known to make a lot of changes, not just in the voice cast, but the gameplay formula for the Sonic series as well. So how exactly Mike Pollock has survived not one but two shakeups in the voice cast is unclear to me, but this is a development that I happily welcome. The last big swap up that he survived was during the transitional period between the 4Kids era and the 2010s era. Out of everybody in the 4Kids cast, Mike Pollock was the only one to hold on to his role as Eggman and transfer over to the 2010s era, while everyone else sadly parted ways with him. And now it has happened a second time for what appears to mark a transitional period between the 2010s era and the next big era of Sonic, although what all that one will bring, we don't entirely know. So while we're discussing the subject of Eggman's voice, let's go on a little stroll down memory lane where we review all the past voice actors to have ever held the role. For the sake of keeping this video condensed, I'm not going to be going over literally every piece of Sonic related media, be it for the games or otherwise, but we'll be covering a relatively large fraction of it all the same. When the Sonic series first launched in 1991, voice actors weren't a requirement at the time, but this would change 2 years later. A pair of TV shows would launch in 1993, and these were called Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and, well, Sonic the Hedgehog, which would also be referred to as Sonic Saturn. Jim Cummings started off as the voice of Eggman in both those shows, but in Adventures of Sonic, he would eventually hand off the role to Long John Baldry, who would go on to reprise that same role as Eggman in Sonic Christmas Blast, which came out in 1996. 3 years after that, we would see the release of the Sonic OVA, also known as Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie. In that film, Edwin Neal would provide the voice of Eggman. And then not long after that, Sonic Underground launched. As the last big TV show that Sonic would see for years to come, Garrett Chalk voiced Eggman in that series. It would also be the last big occasion during which Jaleel White would be providing the role of Sonic the Hedgehog. Well, unless you count the 2013 fan film. But as the TV show era for Sonic gradually winded down to a close, at least for until 2003, the gaming aspect of Sonic would undergo a dramatic transformation with the release of Sonic Adventure, the flagship title for the Sega Dreamcast. Dean Bristow came onto the scene as the voice of Eggman with the release of Sonic Adventure, and he would carry the role over to a multitude of titles up until his unfortunate death in the year 2005, the very same year in which Long John Baldry also passed away. God rest their souls. But while Dean Bristow continued to voice Eggman for the games, Mike Pollock came onto the scene as the voice of Eggman for an anime series called Sonic X, which would hit TV networks in 2003. However, he would not be providing Eggman's voice for the games up until 2005, during which Sonic Rush would find its way onto the Nintendo DS. And ever since then, Mike Pollock has become a mainstay in the Sonic series as the voice of Eggman, and this would continue for up to 35 titles. I kid you not, 35 titles. And that is a lot. Though I think you already guessed such a number was coming now that we've acknowledged that Mike Pollock has voiced Eggman for going on 18 years now, which is incredible. Mike Pollock has voiced Eggman for a multitude of games, including Sonic Rush, Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic Riders, Sonic 2006, Sonic Rivals, the Storybook Games, Sonic Rush Adventure, Sonic Rivals 2, the Olympic Games series for Mario and Sonic, Sonic Riders Zero Gravity, Sonic Unleashed, and well, I could go on and on and on, but I think you all get the idea by now. The last occasion during which he voiced Eggman would be Sonic at the Olympic Games, a mobile re-release of Sonic and Mario at the Olympic Games 2020, which featured only Sonic and the cast from his world. Before that, there was Team Sonic Racing, which came out in 2019, although that is considered a spin-off title of the Sonic series as opposed to a mainline title like Sonic Forces, which came out in the year 2017. This does raise the question though, if Mike Pollock is staying on board, does this potentially mean that anybody else could be holding on to their roles as well? We don't know for sure, But Mike Pollock did so happen to make a comment on that, well, something like that anyway, to his announcement where he said that he would be staying on board as Eggman. He says the following: "On a personal note, I know you'll want to speculate about what happened, and possible casting choices, but please bear in mind that IRL, actors' careers are steered by auditions, callbacks, bookings, and rejections. It's a bit more complicated than choosing sides for kickball. In other words, not everything is what it seems at first glance. We ultimately don't know what prompted this big shakeup in the Sonic voice cast that is coming our way, other than the possibility that we could be seeing a dramatic reboot, not just for other forms of Sonic media such as the movies and the Netflix series, possibly even the comics, but for the games as well. After all, this is the 30th anniversary, so it would stand to reason that a lot of big things are headed towards the direction of the Sonic series. By the way, if you haven't given the Sonic Twitter takeover a listen, I heavily encourage it. Whether for a mainline game of Sonic series or otherwise, Mike Pollock always brings his A game as Eggman. Speaking of which, they haven't done a Twitter takeover in years, so they wouldn't mind bringing that back, would they? It'd be perfect for the 30th anniversary. Anyway, that's all I had to discuss in this video, guys. If you liked this video, let me know what you thought with your likes and comments down below, and if you want to keep up my content, it's quite simple. Ring that bell and click that sub button so you don't miss out on anything. Once again, Mike Pollock, I'm happy you're sticking around as Eggman, and I can't wait to see what else you and the rest of the new cast will do. Until then, guys, peace out, take care, Blue Blurs for life.